I'm going to point into the mountain and using the excessive power to get up to the hill climb, showing the crowd the afterburner from behind. We're using a 5 to 6 G pull-up to get vertical, to get some separation from the Mollis airfield. The first maneuver is kind of the G exercise for me, and then from there on you have to be fit, otherwise you have to cancel your display. It's our powerful engines. They provide actually 2 times 90 kilonewtons of thrust, meaning we have more thrust than the weight. There's no autopilot in there. It's everything flown by hand and manually. And then you see what we use during the flight, and you see how we get against the G-forces to do our display. I want to recommend we get ready for the display. Let's move out.
This is the German Air Force Eurofighter Typhoon, and in today's video we're going to accompany Nobel, a German Air Force fighter pilot, through his entire day here at an air show in mountainous Switzerland. So let's come along.
Alrighty guys, so we're getting ready for the flight, and prior to that I want to explain something about the Eurofighter Typhoon to you. What we got here is a single-seater Trash 1. You can see it on the numbers. It's 3007, so one of the older planes. But doesn't matter for the display because it has the same engines, the same powerful thrust. What we do now, we're going to walk around, get you some infos how the aircraft works. What you see up there is the canards, which are highly maneuverable, makes it really easy for us, so the whole flight control system works for us. Everything is done by computers, but still the display itself is going to be flown via hand. So there's no autopilot in there, it's everything flown by hand and manually. For safety, what you see up there, of course, we got an ejection seat in there. It's a Martin Baker MK16 seat, 0-0 capability, so we can eject even on the runway with no speed and get safe out of the aircraft if something really goes down the drain. Here we got a clean configuration, so we got no tanks out there, gives us even more power. So what you actually can see here, it's our powerful engines. They provide actually 2 times 90 kilonewtons of thrust in the afterburner, meaning you got 18 tons of thrust, meaning we have more thrust than the weight, so we can go vertical, use the full power. See, it's quite small engines, but nevertheless they are super powerful. And also for our safety, as you can see on the red flags, we got a chute in there, meaning we got a small runway here in Mollis, which is quite unusual for our Typhoons, but we can use the chute to increase our brake distance. And not here for Mollis, but if you want to check it out here, we got the hook down there, meaning if something really happens, for example, if the hydraulics fail out, I have to go somewhere and the brakes are not working, I can go to a divert field and use the cable with that hook down there. And then land safely, of course. If we want to go on big missions, what we normally do, we have 2 outboard tanks. Gives us normal flight duration. What we do usually during a mission is 1 hour 30. Can extend, of course, longer if we fly slower, and we can use another 3rd tank, which goes down at the fuselage, so we can even extend the range more. What else we got? We got 13 stations for weapons, meaning we can use GBU-48 bombs, we can use AMRAAM missiles, we can use Meteor missiles. And as well on the tips on the outside, we can use short-range missiles, the Iris-T. As you check out the wing tips, it's sensors for us for our self-protection, and on the right side we also got a small thing which helps us to protect ourselves. Other than that, big rudder, we got an air brake at the aircraft, and of course the big delta wing, which gives us the advantage that we can fly really slow. And on the other side, it always gives us the lift from below. So it's really easy to fly. It has an autopilot for the normal flight use, and everything is done by the computer. So as a pilot in the Eurofighter Typhoon, you are more data manager than a pilot, because the aircraft is doing a lot on its own. So that's quite easy to fly. It's quite easy to land. It's quite easy to start. But nevertheless, there's a lot of information coming in there, and you have to process all the information, get it to the other guys in your flight. And that's the main part about how we fly tactical missions. Display is completely different. So a lot of people ask us already, can you here land at Mollis? Because the runway is actually really short. Yes, we can. So, but the only thing we have to do before we get a permission for this, because the shortage of the runway. So what we normally use in our countries is 8,000 feet runway, which is the standard for NATO. Here it is 5,800, so it's quite a little bit short. Nevertheless, I showed you already the drag chute, which helps us out, and our command at our base gave us a permission to land here and to take off here again. So different for us, but we also have nice brakes down there. It's carbon brakes, carbon fiber brakes. So as you can see in sport cars, we have the same. So first tapping the brakes, nothing happens. But as soon as you tap a second time, the brakes fully go in there, and then you have a lot of braking action. And one of the things you see down there, it's actually a cooling fan, because of course the brakes getting really hot if you have a short runway. And so we have electrical cooling down there to get the brakes again to a normal temperature and to get ready for the next flight and don't overheat the brakes. One other spec for the Typhoon is, as you can see up there and there, we got formation lights. They are for night flying, especially for the formation. So if you have a close-up formation, the other guy can check out. If you have your lights on, you can somehow check out the distance, how far you are apart from the other guy. It's green light beam for the night, so it works really well. And Typhoon is all weather capable. We can fly during night times and helps us really get out. And what else can you see? Right next to the canard, we got a air-to-air refueling system up there. So meaning if you go to a tanker, we can use a bunch of tankers. So using KC-135s, using A400 and C-130s, doesn't matter for us. If they have a basket, we can go there and refuel during the flight and get some more fuel into the system again to extend our mission range for the tactical missions. As that was it on the outside of the Typhoon, I want to recommend we get ready for the display. Let's move out. Okay, Akash, here we are now with the equipment. So I would say we take a look over it, and then you see what we use during the flight, and you see how we get against the G-forces to do our display. So what we got here, first we got our life vest. As you can see and feel, it feels quite heavy.
Already?
It is quite heavy already. So what you got in here, you got a swim bubble. So if you are ejecting over water, you still have the chance to survive because there's a swim bubble. And we also got a little boat in the cockpit. It's in the ejection seat, so you can survive over water. But guess what? It's only for one person, so it's pretty small.
Yeah. And you won't need it in Switzerland.
Exactly. What we got else here, this is our connection to the ejection seat itself, meaning over this piece here, we get the oxygen air into the mouth for breathing, and then on the other side, we also connect our anti-G trouser, which I will show you in a second, which inflates during the display and during the flight, so you can handle against the G-forces and work against it. So this is actually the second part, which is the trouser.
Yeah.
The pants, yeah. You can also feel that it's also quite heavy.
Yeah, and so both together.
Yeah, both together. And of course you got a helmet as well, which during 9 G turns is pretty heavy on your neck. You know, there's a lot of forces coming up there. The helmet is about 2 kilograms, so multiply that with 9, you got 18 kilos on your neck. So that's pretty hard. So you have to do a lot of training to work against it.
Yeah, already need a massage only from hearing it.
Exactly. So the chute itself, it inflates fully, meaning the blood is going to get over in the part of the stomach, and then the vest itself also inflates a little bit, so you get most of the blood into your head and still can think clear during a 9 G turn and fly the display.
How many Gs will you reach today? Approximately 9
plus. That's not too bad, yeah. And so what you can say, I don't know how heavy you are or how light you are, maybe 70 kilos, you have to multiply that with 9. And that's the actual force which is going down to Earth at 9 G.
Okay, 630 kilos.
Here we go.
Ouch. Noble, 45 minutes to go. You seem super calm. What goes through your head? Do you have any rituals you do before the flight?
Actually, I'm super calm now at the moment, yes. I got my lineup card, I got the display on there. So I'm checking out the parameters, if everything is correct, just visualizing everything. Then of course getting a drink, going to the toilet, and that's actually the ritual. All
right, I don't want to hold you up any further, so please.
See you later.
Thanks a lot. See you soon.
See ya. So now we're walking to the aircraft. What we do next, my maintenance crew is still in the use of the aircraft, but they're going to hand it over now to me. I'm going to take over the aircraft, and from then on it's mine for the next 10 minutes for the display, and then I'm going to hand it over back with the flight hours or flight minutes actually for the display, and then the maintenance is in response again. We're going to do the walk around now, so it's just a self-check for myself. I'm looking at all the system, if everything is looking correct down there. If we don't have any hydraulic leaks, I'm checking the tires, checking the lights down there, if everything is correct, checking the engines, and then I'm going to hop into the cockpit and getting ready for my flight down there. The maintenance crew downstairs, they are getting the jet ready, and we're going to start the engines up now. They're going to perform the final checks for me, meaning that all systems are running up correctly. I'm checking my systems in the cockpit, and I'm actually going to set up the display information here for Mollis. So I got a box which is 1 nautical mile wide and 3 nautical miles long. So this is the box I'm going to play in, which is close to the airfield and close to the mountains. And as you can see on the ground now, these guys are walking around to their final checks. And what we do next, when the systems are full up, we go to the last chance, meaning I'm going to roll forward now with my aircraft, and the guys are checking if we have any leaks down there, if the tires are fully correct, and then they send me off actually. And takes about 2 minutes. So we have the final checks done, every pins are removed, so no red flags down there, and now we can go for the takeoff actually. Okay, here we are now for the lineup. So I got my clearance from Mollis on the runway. The last display stopped, so I'm ready to go now. I got the final clearance from the display. And the first maneuver you can actually see is the massive performance takeoff, meaning I'm going down the runway using all the speed I can get, getting the gear up. And then we're using a 5 to 6 G pull-up to get vertical, to get some separation from the Mollis airfield. And then what you also see is a screw drive, and then I'm going to hit down to the ground again to 500 feet to start the next maneuver. Next maneuver is going to be a reposition maneuver to set myself up for the display line, meaning you have a display line which is white color for us for the jet pilots, and it's the distance actually to the crowd that you have a safe distance down here. And then the first maneuver you can see here is a cube 8 figure, consists of 2 loops, starting at about 450 knots indicated speed, and then pulling up 9 Gs, going vertical on the other side, and then using about a 70 degrees nose down to get into a safe position again. Pulling up again with about a 5 to 6 Gs, and then using max speed, of course, to get on the other side again. That was the second maneuver. Seeing now the third maneuver is a reposition again, of course. And then from there on, I'm going to go parallel again to the runway, and then showing the crowd the afterburner from behind. So I'm going to point into the mountain and using the excessive power to get up to do the hill climb, and come back for another parallel lineup, and for the next reposition to start the next maneuver. What you can see next is actually a slowdown. What we use here is about 1,000 feet above the ground, just for a safety level. If you're getting too slow, so we still have the distance to the ground to safely maneuver us out, and using the engines to get from the ground away again. And in the maneuver itself, you can see the slow flight, which is about 130 knots indicated speed. Quite slow for the Eurofighter Typhoon. And then the cool thing about this, if we're plugging the reheat for the next maneuver, we're just doing the vertical climb out now. So using the low level extreme AOAs and getting up air as a vertical climb, what you can see in the next maneuver. And this is one of the most crazy maneuvers in the Eurofighter, because you can actually see the massive performance of the both engines breaking down there. As you can see, down the half loop, we are at speed again, using about 350, 400 knots again for the next reposition close to the mountain, which is absolutely amazing if you go up there with 70 degrees high, and then come back for the next maneuver. For the next maneuver, we got the So we tilted actually the Q-Mate now, so it's closer to the mountain. Still spectacular for the visitors down on the ground, and we're going into the maneuver with about 400-500 knots. And it's one of the maneuvers we're using the full potential of 9 Gs. So this is where the high Gs and where the pilot actually full stressing the aircraft and stressing your own body. So you have to do a little bit for it and work it out. After the maneuver, we're going for the next reposition, coming back to the display line, and you can see a slow aileron roll, which is controlled. For the first step, we're using about 10 degrees nose high because so the Eurofighter rolls a little bit different than other aircraft. It's not the axis of the aircraft, but it's slightly tilted. So we're using about 10 degrees nose high, and then from there on, we're going to start the rolling maneuver. So it just looks better on the ground, and it's easier for us eventually. Then from there on, we got another reposition close to the mountain. Coming back and using the reed again, of course, to get to 500 knots, and then using the spiral up to about flight level 120, so about 4 kilometers, just a few seconds. Tilting the picture for the nose down again, doing another spiral down for the visitors, which I think looks great. And then come back for the last pass, which is a fast pass, but the display stopped there already, so I can go to 300 feet. So I closed the display already because our display is down to 500 feet. Display closed, and then from there on I can do the low flyby at 300 feet, and then come back for the full stop. Bam! And then for the full stop, we used the air brake just additionally because we got some height there, just to slow down the aircraft. And as I told you already, Mollis has a short runway, so we're using as well the drag chute to get down to a safe landing speed. And as well show the crowd, of course, the drag chute, which is quite impressive also for us because it helps a lot. And that was the part of the display here.
These were the longest 7 minutes I've ever experienced.
It was not 7 minutes, it was actually 12 minutes. So.
For our pleasure, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Do you feel sore or anything? I was exhausted holding my camera, but I was always thinking of you with the 18-kilogram helmet.
Yeah, it's kind of course, yeah. So after like 10 minutes flight, it's like a sports program, actually, yeah. So you're totally sweaty, and going back out, the first thing you have to do is to drink something, of course, yeah. And as you can imagine, if you're sitting in the cockpit, the sun is burning down. Even when the engines are not running, you don't have the AC. It's really hot in there, like 50 degrees Celsius. And then actually when the engines start, then the cooling starts in the cockpit. The display itself, it's quite comfortable because it's cold in there. But other than that, you have to work a lot, for sure.
And what was your max speed?
500 knots, indicated speed. That's the maximum we can do according to our regulations. So it's not the aircraft, it's the regulations.
From what I've heard, fighter jet pilots always do maybe some low G maneuvers to get into the high Gs.
We normally do a GX. So if you fight the classical dogfight, 1 versus 1, we first do an exercise, getting some Gs on there, checking out the system if everything works well, if the body is working well, and then we go into the mission itself. And that's actually not possible on a display because the first thing you do is putting cheese on a jet and on your body. So the first maneuver is kind of the G exercise for me, and then from there on you have to be fit, otherwise you have to cancel your display and do it the next day.
Noble, last question of the day. I would really like to know what was your aviation highlight through your career so far?
The highlight actually was last year. So our wing deployed to Australia for a big exercise. So with those aircraft, we actually hopped down from Neuburg Air Force Base, which is our home base, to Abu Dhabi. From Abu Dhabi, we hopped to Singapore. From Singapore to Australia, which was already a crazy trip, of course, for us, because it was the longest distance we ever did. Being in Australia to do a 2-week exercise with partners we did not fly so far with. It was other nations like Japan, it was Indonesia, it was India, Australia, of course. We had French guys. So it was people all around from the world flying big missions. So during the missions, there were like 100 aircraft in the air. During the nighttime, it was pitch black, as the exercise name is. It was just amazing to go there, fly with everybody, talk and chat with everybody, getting a lot of lessons learned. It was just amazing.
This sounds really cool, a real aviator get-together down in Australia. Noble, thank you very much for touring us around your aircraft and your day here. And for you, you know the deal, like and subscribe, and see you on the next one.